today's episode, we're building the Surfer prototype. Welcome back. We start off by drilling the first two 14mm holes. Those are for the ferrules. And then I drill from the other side for the screws. I tap in the ferrules with a piece of wooden dowel. It's just these two for now, and the other two I do after doing the comfort carve. At this point I hadn't carved the neck yet, but I wanted to see how things fit together. And even with just two screws in, the connection feels pretty solid. The guitar is starting to take shape now that these two are connected. And welcome to another unboxing video. In this little segment, let's have a quick look at the bridge. This is the Goto EV510T FE. I picked this bridge out specific to the Surfer model. I love how it looks, and it's a great quality tremolo bridge overall. Okay, so let's see what's in the box. We got the bridge itself, the two posts and some Allen keys, the claw, and the whammy bar. We also have the springs and the operations manual. And let's have a closer look at the bridge itself. I've never seen a review on these on YouTube, not in any detail anyway. These come in a few options. There's one with brass saddles, also 6 screws instead of 2 points, and one with a larger steel block. Here we have an Allen key for the saddles, a key for the posts, and the posts themselves. Something else to note about these bridges, they've become quite expensive over the past few years, especially here in Canada. Even if you buy it from the US, with the import fees, it will end up costing you about the same. Okay, moving on to transferring the neck center line onto the body. Even though the neck and the body line up, it has to be the neck center line that lines up with the bridge. The scale of the Surfer Classic is 24.5 inches. I measure that distance and back it off about half an inch. The reason I do that is so I have enough leeway for the adjustment of the saddles. To transfer the center line, I continue the side lines of the neck onto the body, then find the middle of those two lines, and that becomes my new center line. And in this case here, I was 0.5 millimeter off of my original center line. It may not seem like a lot, but it's important to be as precise as possible in this case. I double check where the straight edge, and everything lines up like it should. Next I traced the outline of the cavity, and for that I use a template that I bought from Stu Mac that's for tremolo bridges. I'm using the side that's for Wilkinson and Goto. The other side is for standard 2-post Strat bridges. I line up the template again and I use my handy dart to transfer the 2 points for the posts. Here I'm putting some measurements down. In this corner of the cavity, a 1/2 inch hole has to be drilled through the body, and that will serve as an indication where to line up the back template for the claw and springs cavity. I measure a 1/4 inch along each side and then connect them in the middle. Then on the drill press, I use a 1/2 inch bit to drill all the way through. Here I mark the depth of this Forstner bit that I used to remove some of the material before routing the bridge cavity. The template goes on and I do a couple of passes. The cavity is now routed from the front side. Next we flip the body over and continue routing from the other side. Here you can see where the template lines up with the hole that was first drilled. I check the depth every pass until I get to 5/8. Next I drill for the posts, and those are 10 mil. Next step is to attach the claw, and a couple of holes have to be drilled into the cavity. I mark out the positions using the claw. Then I mark the depth stop on my drill using the screws. I use a little piece of foam to prevent any damage to the wood while drilling. And here I apply some wax to the screws so they can go in smoothly. The posts go in, and then the bridge, and then I attach the springs. Here is where I taper the back of the neck pocket for more comfortable playing on the upper frets. I do this step first and then I drill for the other two neck holes. Same carving procedure as the belly cut and the armrest. Shinto rasp with the coarse side until here, and then I switch to the finer side. And then you know the drill from here, or should I say the rasp. I blend the edges with sandpaper, 100 grit. For this transition here, I wanted it to be as smooth as it can. I wrap the sandpaper around an eraser and blend it that way. Check my progress with some top-down lighting to see how the surfaces transition, and I'm pretty happy with how it's looking. And now the next step is to drill the 14mm holes for the ferrules. I use a chamfering bit to get a bit of a bevel, and then I drill from the other side with a 5mm bit, which is the screw's diameter. In the previous video I specified that I drill through the body with a 32-second bit, and this is why, so I have access to drill from both sides. Here I put in the screws without the ferrules. I was eager to see how it all connects together. And it's looking pretty cool, it's coming together nicely. A bit more work will be done later to sand things to a finer level. Alright, and here go in the ferrules. And that's one step closer to looking more complete. This is the first assembly, and I put some strings on it and do a initial setup. As good looking as that bridge is, I actually ended up not using it. And it was because of a mistake I made with the neck. Even though I ended up resolving it, it was probably the biggest mistake that I made with this build. When I first printed out my paper template for the neck, I didn't realize it was for a 25.5 inch scale. And the scale that I wanted for the guitar is 24.5 inches. At this point I had already routed out the shape of the neck, and I didn't want to go back and make another template and start from the beginning. So what I ended up doing is I cut off 1 inch at the end of the neck. And what I didn't account for is that now the spacing at the heel would be more narrow. The high E string ended up being a little too close to the edge than I would have liked. Not on the edge, but pretty close to it and not very comfortable to play. So what I ended up doing was I replaced the bridge with one that had narrow string spacing, and that solved the issue. At first I got this Wilkinson bridge that had narrow string spacing. All the other measurements were the same, so it was just a straight swap. But I wasn't really happy with the quality of it. The springs made a lot of noise when using the whammy bar, and I ended up returning it. So what ultimately went on the guitar is this Goto NS510T FE1. It was once again a direct swap, and all the quality I was looking for was there. And the other Goto bridge I'll end up using in another build. So now with this little confession out of the way, here are a few strums with the guitar all together. This is with the Wilkinson bridge, and it was at a time where I was still waiting for the Goto to come in. So here it is all together, no pickups yet, but those will be coming on in the next coming parts. It's really light and it feels really comfortable to handle and to play. I'm very happy how the neck ended up, it feels really nice. And there it is, it's quite resonant, and I'm pretty happy with it at this point. After the pickups get installed, it will really come to life. I want to thank everybody that has subscribed so far. I'm getting a lot of positive feedback, and I really appreciate it. In the next episode, work begins on the pickguard, so please tune in for that one. Cheers.